fix myself. Hi. Welcome to my Frenchie. This is me, 143. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tuesday, Petloss Tuesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're here, say hello. Put your name in the chat. So happy to see everybody. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. How is everybody today? On this fabulous, what are we at, Tuesday? Tuesday, Petloss Tuesday. Hope everybody is doing well. I am, oh, hello. Aaron's here and the moderator's here. Hello. Why is the moderator ready for bed? Why is everybody ready for bed? Hello. So glad that you are all here. So glad. Like running by the seat of my pants today. Hello, Michelle. Hello, and Dave and Violet are here. I am literally running by the seat of my pants. And Patty's here. Hello. Goodness. I had a very long day of running around. So which is good. That's always a good thing. And yes, yeah. Yeah, Patty knows. I went to I took my son is leaving out of town Sunday, and he's going with another family to Alabama for a week and a half. And so anyways, prior to him leaving, he was asking to go to Kings Island, which is like a Six Flags Great America, a big theme park, right? And so I told him yesterday that we would go, or a few days ago, I told him that we would go. And I'm like, we'll go Tuesday. And then, of course, like the co-producer was telling me that, I shouldn't go because that I was going to miss the show tonight. And I'm like, I'm not going to miss the show. So I planned it out. I literally probably walked in the house, maybe less than 15 minutes ago. So I was not going to be proven wrong that I was going to miss the show tonight. So, so I was very, very happy for that. I love going to Kings Island with my son and just riding the roller coasters all day. I'm a very big roller coaster fan. And even though I have this horrible back, and, my chiropractor absolutely hates when I do things like that. But my theory is, what? It's kind of funny. They always say you only live once. I don't know. That's not true. You live every day. You only die once, right? So, I choose to live my life very active. Oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate everybody showing up. Like I said, I mean, this, her, and like, when you have a passion for something, you just, it's better than anything in life when you can do what you love and, do your passion and so forth. So, I wouldn't miss days like this and Fridays and just having a good time, with everybody. I love when everybody gets on here. It's so important to me. But yeah, so we went today and we went to Kings Island and rode roller coaster after roller coaster. Now, I will say that I kind of do, when I was a kid, we used to go, to theme parks and so forth. And you go to theme parks and so forth, and, you try to go on roller coasters and you always stand in line and all that stuff. And to me, like the best thing that they could have come out with were those fast passes. Yeah, I mean, they're a little pricey. However, we have season tickets to Kings Island. So, those are already basically paid for. Our admission, our parking's everything paid for. So when we do go to, like today, because my son and I love roller coasters so much, I always get us the fast passes. It's just him and I, and we go and, now I will say this, having a 13-year-old boy and having a fast pass, which just allows you to go and not have to stand in line for 20, 30 minutes waiting to get on a ride. There's like no lines in these fast passes. So, his thing is, oh, let's go on a ride. And then right when we get off, let's go again and let's go again. So, I mean, some of these roller coasters, we literally rode probably 6+ times in a row. And, again, I love roller coasters and so does he. And, uh, it was just such a fun day today, and very 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 jarring. Especially like those old wooden roller coasters and so forth. They're throwing you all over the place, and um, but I will say it's interesting because when the moderator was a little girl, we used to always go to Kings Island as well, and she was my little roller coaster buddy at the time before she grew up and moved on with her life, right? And so her and I used to go all the time, and that was years and years ago. And so now having a 13-year-old who loves roller coasters, um, it was just interesting because even when I would ride with the moderator when she was a kid, and my son, like today, I look over when we're riding these coasters and stuff, and he's just laughing and having a great time. Um, oh, yeah, that is okay. So thank you, moderator, for pointing that out. I gained 520 new subscribers this week. So that was wonderful. Very, very, very wonderful. I was so happy about that. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, right. Thank you. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Now, if they would show up to the lives, or participate, that would be great. But what the funny thing is like it seems like when I do the lives, a lot of people will watch them afterwards, which I don't care as long as the message is getting out there. Um, that's all that's important to me, and so forth. So, but yeah, so when I was a kid, we would go to like theme parks. We had Indiana Beach and so forth. And, one of the things that, one of the most things that I remember the most is it was always like my sister and I would always ride the roller coasters together. And, we would just laugh like crazy riding these roller coasters. And so, like riding with my son today and, in the past with moderator and stuff and just, it's one of those kind of like flashback things of, you wish sometimes that you were younger again so that you have those moments. And I mean, I just remember my sister and I, we used to just have such a good time, and we just would laugh on these roller coasters. And now, I get to do it with my son, and I know that, she's got boys too. So I know that she's, she, rides with her kids out in Florida and stuff like that. But it was always just such a, it's always a good like little flashback memory when I'm on these roller coasters of just being a kid with your your siblings and just laughing and just having a good time. Um, well, somebody better tell her. um, no, but I was gonna say so, but it was just such a wonderful day, and the weather was beautiful today. It's like it wasn't too hot, and the wind was just perfect, and um, I so, it was funny because I was toying with, because I've been working so much lately, um, and I haven't really been able to enjoy the weather and so forth, because by the time I get out of work, it's late and so forth. But, um, I was just thinking today, I'm like, oh man, if I could have just, maybe gone to the pool and hung out at the pool today, but then I was like, nah, this was 10 times better. And especially the fact that he's leaving on Friday. So I won't see him for a while. At least, over a week, maybe a week and a half. So it was nice. It was very, very nice. But we've got Father's Day coming up on Sunday. So very, very important day for fathers. Again, I will be very biased and say that I have the best dad in the world. So I feel bad for everybody else because I got the best one. So yeah, and I already sent his Father's Day gifts. So, and I sent my Father's Day gifts to the co-producer's father as well. So we've got all the dads so far are taken care of. Because they deserve it. They deserve it. When you have We have, you know, I like to call them men of honor that, really take care of their family and so forth. Um, you need to celebrate them on special days, especially a day like that. So, but yeah, I hope everybody, enjoyed some of this stuff on this past Friday when we had Frenchy Friday. I really, yeah, it's funny. I reached out to the company that sent me the little tequila Frenchie, and they responded today saying, thank you for spotlighting and so forth. But I love that little guy. He's up in on my little wine shelf and bar shelf and stuff. But yeah, it's been such a just a really, really beautiful day today. So very, very enjoyed that. And, I have a big trip coming next month that I'm looking forward to. And so, yeah, just things are falling right into place. So anyways, but getting back to Pet Loss Tuesday, I hope, I hope if, nobody had any kind of loss, this week or this past week. Uh, you know, I, especially with the heat, especially French bulldogs and so forth too, they're so susceptible to heat. They like overheat quicker than a lot of dogs that are out there. And I know on one of my shows, gosh, I think it was one of my tape shows I did, maybe like 6 or 7 months ago, where I talked about the different things that you could do to keep your animals cool in the summer. And the girls, they don't swim well, and I don't know if it's just the way that their bodies are made or what, but they're not real big swimmers, so they have their life vests. But I still, in the summer, I have to be very, very careful with them because they can overheat in a house that is 70 something degrees. Just the way that they have the pushed in faces and all that, they just overheat so easy. I love the Frenchie breed. I love them with all my heart. It's just, there's a lot of tricky things to them. I would have to say that this is a breed that you definitely have to have some sort of knowledge going in, which I will be 100% honest. I did not. I did not have a lot of knowledge on the breed going in. I went kind of blindly on it. And it just, honestly, I started looking for when, this was prior to Rosie, but once, when I lost my Harley, I just realized that if we were to get another dog, that, I'm to the point where, and this is something I learned with him, and sadly enough, like I said, oh, hello, Kristen. Hello, welcome. One thing I learned with my Harley, he was a boxer. I've had boxers when I was a kid, and then all of my adult life. And then, we got in the docs and so forth, but boxers were always kind of like my heart. I love them. I think that they're absolutely fabulous dogs. But I'll be, 110% transparent. And this is gonna sound really sad, but when they get to a point like, Lola's older in her life too now, and she, they're anybody that knows a boxer is like a medium-sized dog, right? Or a little, probably, I guess you would call a large breed, but they can get up to, I think Lola is probably at like 60 pounds ish, and it was very hard, especially with, when my Harley was towards the end of his life and so forth. I'm just to the point in my life where I can't lift them anymore. And, so, even on those last like trips to the vet and so forth, like it was, it was breaking my heart that, like, if I needed to, I couldn't pick that dog up and take him in, so I kind of had to come to the realization, and a lot of that has to just do with, like, I have a horrible bad back and so forth, but I just can't do it like when I was, probably in my 20s, right? And So as much as I love the breed, I just know that, you know, I have to be able to be responsible and be able to take care of my dog from puppy all the way up until the end of their life. And, usually, sadly enough, when dogs get to be seniors and so forth, you know, mobility go. I mean, there's a lot of things that go with when dogs get to that age, and if you have an older dog, they're going to require to be carried, and um, again, like, trying to take them out at the vet, for their last trip to the vet. I mean, it was breaking my heart that I couldn't, carry them in, and but so anyway, so that's what got me to kind of have to shift gears to a different breed, looking into futures of having dogs and so forth. And so I had first looked at the English bulldog, and because I always loved the English bulldogs, I always thought they were little meatballs, and they were just little, fat little meatballs that just kind of hung out. But I guess, when you think about that, my whole theory that I just talked about not being able to lift a dog, right? I mean, those suckers English bulldogs get pretty darn big. So when we were looking as well, there was a lady I was talking with her, and she's like, well, she's like, English bulldogs are, they're just kind of more lazy dogs and so forth. And I also wanted a dog that would be good with my son, something that he could, really play with and stuff. Of course, like boxers they're big kids themselves. So she had said, she goes, what about the French bulldog? Well, I didn't know anything about it. She's just like, yeah, they're, like tons of energy, and they, they've got, yeah, exactly. Um, and she said they've got tons of energy, and, they're people, and, whatever. So, looked into them, and then somebody else, when I was talking to them, said, French bulldogs are kind of like mini little boxers. And, I was like, huh. I'm like, you know what, that is they kind of do look alike. And then, so then we ran into Rosie, and she totally kind of like flipped my little world upside down, just with her little personality, and, just just the way she wanted. But again, they're also, when you research French bulldogs, I mean, they're a fragile breed. There's a lot of things that you have to do with regards to allergies, just all sorts of things with these pushed and face dogs. So, yeah, I mean, and she's just my little, I think she's 21 pounds or whatever. So I can just take her and pick her up. And then, she rides in the car with me. She sits on my left leg while I drive, and, she sits over here and we drive. And then, if we take Coco will come in and she'll sit on the right-hand side of me. I'm shocked they haven't gotten pulled over by cops yet. But, I mean, they both like just sit on my lap when I drive, which, again, probably really hazardous. I probably shouldn't say that out loud or on live. But they do. They ride with me, and life is fine. They're very, they're very good car riders. Coco at times will get she can get a little car sick. We've had it, so I have to monitor her. But again, just great dogs. I mean, there's so many great dogs out there. Great dog breeds, and we're very lucky as people, in my opinion. I think there's kind of a breed for everybody, right? There's always something that matches you, and then the more you're close with your dogs, I think you start looking like them a little bit more. So, not saying that I'm a dog or anything, but no, but you know what I mean. Like I always say, like you tend to kind of like look like your dogs after a while, and develop the personalities, and yeah. So, we're very very lucky as humans to be able to have these beautiful creatures that were companion animals, and same thing with cats, right? Cats are also, beautiful. Like I said, we have our cat people, we have our dog people, and we have our bird people. Like I said, I've got birds, and now uh, the moderator isn't going to hear this one, but I have a whole nother set of eggs, snail eggs. So I don't know what these snails are doing besides like gonna like make me mentally go insane because they keep breeding, and I don't know. But here's the thing: I don't know which two are breeding because I've got 6 of them in there. Yeah, I know, having a good time apparently, right? Yeah, they're having a real good time in there. Um, but I've got like what 6 of them in there, and oh hey, welcome. Yeah, well I am too. Um, I'm more of a dog person too, as you can probably tell, right? But I mean, I've had cats. I've had 2 cats in my life, and one was, she was, well, let me see here. She was, uh, oops, let me put this up here before I drop that. But that was my little girl, Midnight. I had her for so long. I got her when I was in high school, and snails. Yeah, right. Snail give up. Well, you know what? I just looked in my tank before I was. Cats are very unpredictable. They're very interesting creatures. But she was a great Midnight was a great cat, and she really liked only me in the house, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind people just liking me, but she really just liked me, and you're I do not disagree with you there. And I think, well, and I think cats are loving. I just think that it's like loving a cat is like on their terms, right? Like they'll love you until they don't want to have anything to do with you, but then they'll come back around when they want to eat and have companionship again. But yeah, so I just went up there prior to coming down here, and I was checking on because we have the frogs, and I was feeding them and all stuff too, and I was looking, I'm like, damn, in the one in the one tank alone, I mean, there has to at least be 50 something snail babies in that tank. And I tried, I got in a smaller tank because I have 3 other egg sacs and now a new egg sac. And so I put those in a totally different tank because I'm like, I've got to be able to clean this one and not kill a bunch of snails, is the goal. So, but I mean, they're so freaking small. And I was going to see if this will pull up real quick. There was a picture. There was one of the snails, and it had. Let me see if I can find it here real quick, and see if you could see it. Not that one. One of the snails had a baby riding on its back, and it was just so darn cute. The frogs never came up with oh yeah, the frogs never popped up with babies yet, so so that was good. But okay, so this might be a little challenging to see. But here's the big snail, and then on the little snail's back, like right 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 there, is one of the baby snails riding on the big snail's back. So but yeah, so it just, like I said, it's probably not that great of seeing, but yeah, I'll get some more. I'll get some more. Yeah, escargot. I'm not gonna eat these snails. My son was saying something about there's different pet stores that'll buy baby snails or whatever. I don't really want to sell them. I just want to maybe find them better homes because I don't really think that I can have like a million of them. Oh, Aaron says they'll crowd the tank and get into the filter systems and then they'll get out. Oh my God. Oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Well, that's kind of what I thought. And that's what, it's funny because the moderator had told me that when we had first gotten these snails, she said that, sometimes they breed, and I'm like, what are the odds that they're going to breed? Well, they've been breeding a lot. And, but I know that's, so I've got to figure out something. And I definitely have to figure out which two are breeding so that I can separate them. So, yeah, that is their full time job. I know, and they're gonna make me like crazy because I'm like I don't want to sit here and you know crush these eight. I don't know. I just feel weird about that. Like I don't want to crush. I don't want to. I don't. I just feel weird about that whole thing. Because people are like, well, just take the egg sacs and put them in the freezer, and then I'm like, I feel weird about killing things. I'm just not a big like killing things kind of person. Mm. So, I'm one of those people that if I see a spider in the house, I'll catch it and throw it outside. Um, just not big on killing things because I don't know. I wouldn't want somebody coming over and stepping on me if I was a spider and all that stuff too. I know it's kind of weird, um, but it's not. I just so I've got to figure out how to separate these snails is the end goal here in the long run because yeah. So Northman, how's your mom doing? How's your mom? How is she doing after it's been what like kind of a week and a half now since she lost Dottie. Is she feeling any better or how's she been coping with the loss of, uh, of her Dottie? Um, yeah, I hope that she's good. That makes me happy. That makes me very very happy. Like I said, grief takes a long time. We all know we've all been there. Um, it's a process, and it's a process just like anything in life, right? We're all if you have a pet, you're going to go through it. If you love people in life, you're going to go through. We're always going to go through some grieving process. Even the same thing with you lose a job. It's oh, well, I bet. You know what though? I think that's a good thing though, right? Um, Staying busy, and that's what I think a lot of us do too when we're going through something hard like that. We try to stay busy. Hello, oh, Sunshine Girl's back. I was just thinking about you too when I was driving today. Sunshine Girl, I was thinking about you when I was driving today, and I hope you're doing a little bit better as well. I hope that you're healing a little bit more after your loss as well. So yeah, it's like I said, we all know it's a process, it's a journey, and some losses are a little bit more challenging than others. Um, so it's just, but it's something that we've got to go through. It's something, and it's part of the love, right? It's part of the love. Oh, thank you. Oh, you know that I know you said that you had a rough day yesterday, and you had yeah, and I think that's a tough part, right? Is like, or that's the thing that before I started all of this, when I first lost my Sammy and all that, and I couldn't wrap my head around like why all that stuff happened, right? Or like I couldn't wrap my head around why it was like one day I was okay, and then the next day I would be driving and just break down, or I would be okay for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden out of the blue, something would hit me, right? And just like you said, you get hit out of the blue and you cry for out, and it happens, right? And and part of you, well, according to society, right? Society is like, well, it's just a dog, it's just a cat, whatever. And that's not true, right? It's not true because they're a family member and they're part of our identity and they're a part of our daily, 375, 375. Jesus, how many days we got in a year, Jen? 365. And, um, so 24/7 is what I was trying to think. But like I said, I mean, they're a part of our routine, they're a part of our identity. And when when that's gone, it's it's like a, it's a blow. It's a blow to our whole minds and our whole lives. And I mentioned it before. It's, you know other pet owners, like, like myself and so forth. Um, we understand your grief. We've had our own grief journey, um, but only you know that intimate relationship that you had. And so we go through these situations and we walk through life, and other people are, coming and going, and it's so weird. It's so unfair, right? It's so unfair. And again, I remember, just, I had a full, even with my first one, I had a full house. I had kids running around. Not like I have 50 million kids. I have two kids, but my kids running around. I had a full time job. I had, three other dogs in the house, but still it was empty, right? Still it was empty, and you knew that there was one, and I always call it my pack. You knew that there was somebody in your pack that was missing. Yes, I do have two kids. Moderator, shut up. Um, oh, Sunshine Girl said I dreamt about Bella last night and saw her outside, and then realized I couldn't find her. Oh, yeah, because that's like a devastating feeling, right? It's a devastating feeling. Um, it's a devastating feeling when they're here and we do lose them. I always say that, God forbid my dogs get out or somebody tries to take them or whatever, I'll be like literally ugly crying for days. And but I also think too that when you are right, and it is your Sunshine Girl says we are survivors and we will get through it. 100%, 100%. Um, because you know what, that they would want us to. They do nothing but love us and want everything to be close to us and our happiness, and so they don't want to see us sad either. And you're right, we are survivors. We are survivors, and we'll get through it, and that's part of our story, right? That's part of our story. Um, see, it, that is huge. You said in the comments, it says crazy when you hear stories of people seeing their pets after that. Not only seeing, but hearing nails on the floor. I can't remember. I think it was with, who was it? It was one of, I don't know if it was after, I don't know if it was after I lost Cookie, or if it was after I lost Daisy, one of the two. Um, I agree. If there's human ghosts, why aren't there dogs? Not dogs and pets. There absolutely are. I believe that, because even like if you talk to, there's pet psychics out there, and they say all the time. I've had people. I've been places, and this is weird. I'll be the first person to admit this is weird, but I've been out places, and I've had people come up to me and say, and they'll say, you have like three or four dogs walking with you, and I'm like, well, that doesn't shock me. And they're like, no, they're like, you have dogs that walk with you all the time, and Mary the Medium is a great, yeah. There's a couple of them, but I've had that. And then they'll tell me like, hey, they're like pet psychics or communicators or whatever. And I've had that, just strangers come up to me and they'll be like, you have all these dogs walking with you, right? And I'm like, no, but that like makes my heart happy. It makes my heart happy that they're still with us. And like you said, there's human ghosts, right? Why wouldn't there be dog ghosts? And I don't, I also saw something on Facebook that when they talk about like the Rainbow Bridge. Oh yeah, She probably already does. She probably already does. And oh, really? That's interesting. I wonder why. That part of New York is a great place for communications. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, they I mean, oh, so anyway, so I saw this thing about the Rainbow Bridge, and it said actually like the Rainbow Bridge, like when supposedly they say, dogs pass and they go over the Rainbow Bridge. Well, I also saw this thing that said that they don't actually go over the Rainbow Bridge. They wait at the Rainbow Bridge for when we get there. And ooh, yeah. It, have you ever gone through the I okay, and this is something too. We could talk about this as well. People that communicate messages. Oh, wow. Interesting. We should get I should contact one and have one come on a live one time. See if I can get like a pet psychic to come on. I think that'd be kind of neat. Um, and if you can look up in your local area for pet graveyards. There's tons of them. There are tons of them. And I don't know if anybody has ever taken a chance to walk through one. I've gone through several, not because I'm like, some weird person or anything, but oh, you think so? I would love that. I would love that. If you have her information, um, email that to me. Moderator, can you put the email address in the chat? Email me her information, or you said she's got a channel, right? No pun intended. But I think that would be amazing to have somebody on and talk to. I think that they're great. But if you ever get a chance, if you find like a pet cemetery, thank you. Uh, oh, if Dottie was at your apartment, all the food would be disappearing. Well, that sounds like my Coco. Coco eats literally almost everything. Um, but yeah, if you get a chance to, if you look up like regular pet cemeteries, they are the most like fascinating places, I think, anyways. I've walked through several in my time, old cemeteries and newer cemeteries, and there's like I said, my one best friend, God love her, in my whole life. I love her with all my heart. We're going to Cancun next month and together, but she's the same way. She always is like, this is also depressing, like, pet loss and pet grief and so forth like that. But if you ever get a chance to go through like a pet cemetery, the reason why I say that they're fascinating is because if you walk through and take the time, walk through and look at the stones, the amount of love that you see on these stones, it warms your heart. It's not like a regular like people cemetery, or those are fine, but the amount of love that they have, people have written on these stones. And if they took the time to put their pets in a pet cemetery and stuff, they of course loved, and they're highly dedicated to the ones that they lost, right? Oh, you know what? That would be the one in the park. They might have Victorian grave. I bet you they do. I bet you they do, because people, even the ones around like here that I've gone to, they are like, there's been pets in there from the 1920s. There's a horse that's buried in there. But I find them so, I don't know. It's weird because it's not like a regular people cemetery to me, because it is our pets or whatever. It's just like I said, you see all this love that goes. You could see like those animals were somebody's heart. And it's also interesting if you go a couple times, there's ones that are in there from, that I've seen, like maybe from the 30s or 40s, that people will still come and put stuff on. They'll put, either flowers on, or they'll put tennis balls or something, right? And it's just, if that right there doesn't show you the impact that animals have on our lives. Oh, thank you. I'll take a look at that, and I'll try to reach out to her, see if she'll come on. I think that would be amazing. Um, but the amount of like impact that these animals have on our life, um, it's just, what more can you do to honor them? Now, all the ones that I lost, I have in my main living room where we all, you know, spend most of our time in this house. Um, all mine are up on my mantle, right on the fireplace, and I have little candles up next to them, and I have all sorts of things. I've got their collars, and I've got all sorts of, and they're there, and they will be there until the day I die because, um, and they're going in with me, even though they said that that's illegal. um, they say that I guess you can't be buried with your pets. They say that that's illegal. However, I found a loophole around that, where the as this was videos way before. I had done this thing where you can actually like pre-plan like funeral stuff so that your loved ones don't have to worry about it, blah blah blah. But in there, you can like pick out all your stuff. So like I picked out my quote unquote urn, because I'm going to be cremated, whatever, right? So the guy was telling me that the funeral gentleman, which was such a nice guy, but the funeral gentleman was telling me that in the one that I got, because I said, I want my dogs to be put in with me. I want them to be, taken out of their urns and be put in with mine, and because that's the only way you can legally bury them together, I guess. And he said, fine. He said, the one that I picked has plenty of room. So, so, so they can just, when I'm cremated, they could just bring all the little urns and they can put them all in with me, and then we can all go together, right? And that's why I never like physically buried them, or I never put them in a pet cemetery, because I know that like one day they're just going to go up with me. And, that'll be an end to the chapter of everything, whenever that day comes, which hopefully it'll be another 50 years down the line. That's what we can hope, right? But Mary also helped me find a miss. Really, she could. Wow. Now, do you know where she's from? Like what area is she from? She must be really good if she can do all that. Because that's a gift. I mean, that is such a gift. I know there's another lady that lives in Ohio, and I've talked to her several times. Her actual name is Jennifer as well. South Carolina. Okay. So that's not bad. That's not far at all. Well, I mean, it's a little further from us, but big deal. I mean, that's still, phones go both ways. And, but the lady that I talked to here in Ohio, I've known her for years. And I mean, she is, like I said, she's amazing at what she can come up with, or what she channels and so forth. And I said, I don't, she's another one. She says the same thing. She's like, they don't leave us. They're always with us, and I believe that. I do. I believe that. Um, well, I've heard of eccentric rich people being buried with their pets. Yeah, right. Well, they have. I can't remember. I think, and Dave and Patty, I'll remember this years and years ago, and I don't even know why this like sparked me, but we went to a cemetery a people cemetery in Kentucky, and like they buried like Colonel Sanders and a bunch of people, but there was somebody there that had a huge like, what do you call it? Stone. It was huge. But then around the stone, they had like a bird, and like, they had all these different animals around. I don't even know if Dave and Patty will remember that, but I don't know why it struck me either. But they had all these like pets around them. Now they could do that in Kentucky. I don't know what they can do in Ohio, but that's what I said. But the good way that I can, hide it is just throw it in my urn with me. Then nobody would know. except for the funeral director, which she said he was perfectly fine with. So hopefully he's alive when I go, so that there's no issues. But mm. But I have always thought too, like, you know, yeah, you can bury the urns and all that stuff, but it was kind of weird because um, I always feel like, what if I move? If they're not in a cemetery, what if I move? I don't want to have to like leave them behind somewhere. So I kept him where I was, just because, again, like, I don't know why. You know, if maybe, like I said, maybe if I put him in a pet cemetery, it would be a little different. When I had my pet loss support groups, um, there was a lady that, God love her, she was so sweet, but her cat had passed, and um, she had the cat buried in the pet cemetery, the one big pet cemetery by us, and um, she used to send me. Now, granted, I will. She didn't send me. I volunteered, um, but she couldn't bear to go. She couldn't bear to go to the site and see where they had buried her cat, and so I would go there for her. I would go there for her, and I take pictures, and then I bring it back, and then I would leave flowers, and I would just kind of decorate it a little bit while I was there, and but she was just to the point where she was just so heartbroken that um, she couldn't, she just couldn't bear going there, and I would say probably for the first year, um, she finally ended up, but it took a good year. It took a good year, and I think in her case, it was the fact that she felt that the passing of her cat had something to do with the veterinary care. And, I sat with her for hours, and we would go through medical records and medical papers, for everything that was going through her cat. Because, I've said this before, cats are interesting little creatures. Yeah, okay, was that it? Okay, so Patty says, yeah, remember that cemetery, Aunt Polly, the lady based on, oh, Tom Sawyer. Oh, was that her grave that had all those things around it, or animals and stuff? I'll have to look that up, because I'm glad you remember, because that had to be like 30 years ago. And I don't know why I still remember it after 30 years. But um but anyway, so her and I had sat and gone through like medical records after medical records, and this was when I first started my pet loss groups, and um, she in a lot of our meetings, um, one of the things that her and I worked through, because again, I went through the paperwork with her. She tried to file a suit against the um, veterinarian, um, here, and all that stuff. Uh, but one of the things that, like, in her journey, that she she was grieving so hard that she was like trying to find. Now, granted, I'll being very transparent. Her cat, when her cat passed, was like almost 20 years old, so it was an older cat, right? Um, but it took a good amount of time, for her to come to the realization too, that no matter how many records we went through, um, and all that stuff, and I told her, I'm like, you could beat yourself up, you could try to find, you know what went wrong, but it wasn't going to change the outcome. So sometimes I feel that, um, when you know that you're not going to get an answer or the outcome that you need, you just kind of have to find peace in the unknown. Um, but you also have to find peace in uh, settling on the thing. And I've said this in the past too, like, when, I'm not God. Um, thank God, I don't think I want that job. But I'm not God, and I can't decide when these animals are going to leave this world, right? And nobody can. And we can look for, I mean, unless, it's something that, they get hit by a car or something like that. But when it's medical stuff, especially end of life, um, we just don't know. We don't know when we're going to go, right? So, like I said, it took a while, but her journey was just needing to find um, peace with the unknown. So, um, does anyone know of a good product to help clean dogs' teeth, like the powders you can put in their food? No, the thing. Okay, well, wait a minute. What is? Um, okay, you give Bubba freeze dried bones that cleans. Now, Michelle, are those the ones? And I thought I had. Well, I probably don't have them right now, but I think you had. What was? Because wasn't it wasn't one like kangaroo tail? There was a kangaroo tail, and now granted, um, Michelle lives in New Zealand, so they have a lot of stuff that we don't have here, um, in the United States. But like you had some really good products, Michelle. I remember that because you had sent them and you'd sent me the pictures and so forth too. But we also have those greenies too. Um, greenies that do the teeth or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, there's some people I know that like do the brushing of teeth on dogs and so forth, but um, I but I bet there's like I said, freeze dried. I didn't even think about that, freeze dried bones. Patty says the peace comes in the form of memories. 100%, 100%. And sometimes you have to go through those memories, and I hate to say it, stop yourself. Um, because a lot of times all we do is we focus on the end. When we had this whole life and all these days of good days, and so we need to sometimes just change that focus back on the full life. Um, oh yes, but in New Zealand maybe you could find freeze. Oh yeah. There you go. And they also do like you said freeze dried chicken necks, and chicken. Well, they do chicken feet here. I've seen that. Um, oh, Daisy will not let you brush your teeth. Well, and not a lot of dogs will. Um, oh, for we just had a huge 18th birthday candle lighting event on Facebook for what would have been Angel's 18th birthday. Yes. Oh, she would have been 18 yesterday. I bet it was. Here. Speaking of that, as I say, speaking of that, Rosie has a pig ear. They're eating pig ears today. She would have been 18. Wow. What in 18 years. God, what a blessing. What an absolute blessing, to be able to have them that long. I mean, that's a one thing that I love about. That's the one thing like that I love about when we get to have them all those extra years, because a lot of people say that different breeds, boxers are one that they're like, they're 9-10 years is kind of where they their expiration date is. But all of my dogs that I've had were, all of my boxers and so forth, I mean, they made it to a good 14 15 years. uh lola's on her lola's on her Lola's 14 or 13 or 14. Lola's 13 or 14. Um, but these are, and again, if you want to ask me, you can ask me today, you can ask me tomorrow. Is it enough time? No. It's never enough. 15 years, 18 years, it's not enough, right? I mean, we could tell our heads all sorts of things. Um, but they always say, you can tell your head something, but you just have to try to explain it to your heart, because those are two different places that don't often agree with each other, right? and they all often have two different ideas when it comes. No, it's never enough time. And Rosie's really killing this pig ear. You got that pig ear? You got that pig ear? She's like, don't even talk to me. She's busy. Nah, it's never enough time. Really isn't. Um, and what are you doing? What are you doing? She has a. She actually Rosie got really lucky. She normally has seasonal allergies, and where she'll like break out really bad. And she hasn't gotten them that bad this year. She only has like 3 little patches where you could see she had allergies. But she's doing really well this year, thank God. But yeah, I mean, again, it's never enough time, and it's never easy. But that's I mean, that's why we have places like this. We have where you can come together with a community that supports one another, that understands the journey of it, and that's how you heal together. You heal. To me, the more you talk about the ones that you lost and celebrate their life, it's also a way that you can heal. And do donations in their honor. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be monetary. You can donate your time. Donating time is more valuable to me than money is a lot of times. And go to a shelter. Go. Although if you're like me, you'll probably walk out with something. So maybe just donate at a shelter. Because how do you, I mean, I was at geez Louise, I was at a pet store the other day, and they had a little boxer there, and I was just like, gosh, I could just run out with them. And then I get these notifications on my phone. There was one today from one of those next door website things and the neighborhood website thing, and somebody's got a French bulldog that they're trying to rehome, and I'm like, oh my God, why did they send this stuff to me, right? So, you lost. Oh, hey, hi, welcome. I lost 3 of my fur babies in less than a year, and the last one 4 months. Oh no. Shoot. Yeesh. Oh no. Well, first of all, welcome. And with regards to you losing all of those babies in a year, I was in the same boat with you. I lost all three, Cookie, Daisy, and Sammy. I lost them all within the same year as well. And God love my vet. God love my vet. And that's another side note too. We really need to love our vets, and the vet assistants and so forth. The things that they see on a daily basis. God love them. But I remember when I lost, Cookie. When I lost Cookie, that's when and again, those 3 were in the same year. But when I lost Cookie was when I literally lost it in my vet's office because we had to, I had to have her put down. And I just remember just sobbing and saying that, I can't do this again. I can't do this again. And, she was just wonderful, and the staff was just wonderful. And, you get to the point where you feel broken, right? You just feel broken. And it's like, and like you said, you've been, you've been blaming yourself for, a year later. And, I mean, that's the one thing about accidents. When there's an accident and it's out of our control and bad things happen, it's hard, not to put blame on ourselves, right? Because, these animals they're just, I don't, and that's the thing too. And I'm going to back this up by saying, I don't even care if it wasn't an accident. We can have, I can have 15 years with my dog and, him get sick like normal senior dogs do. And that was the end of his life. And I'll still find something that I'll say to myself, if I would have done this different, if I would have done that different, maybe if I fed a different food or, um, like with your situation, I'm sure you're saying all these things and, well, maybe, if it didn't get out or, or whatever, or how, however that happened, but it's not going to change the fact. It's not going to change the fact that unfortunately that happened. And even with our stuff, even when it's not an accident, we always look, we're our worst critics, right? Um, and our head tries to wrap itself around the situation and just can't, right. Oh yeah, 100%. Guilt is one of the seven, the seven parts of grief. It's a huge part of grief because our body is trying to find the answers. It wants some sort of relief in, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? If I did this or if I did that, and it just, this is a huge loss for us. Again, when we lose something that we love with all of our hearts and we pour everything into, um, it's almost like we failed in a way, right? And we're like, but we didn't. And that's one thing that we have to remind ourselves of is we didn't. Um, because I guarantee that the situation, with your kitten and so forth, you would have never, you didn't, that wasn't any out of malicious intent. That wasn't, same thing with, uh, any other situation where it's an accident. We love these animals more than anything. And, um, sometimes life happens. Sometimes life happens. And, just like if we were driving in a car and God forbid we get in an accident, or if we get in an accident with somebody else, we didn't wake up that morning and say that we were going to get in an accident or hurt somebody else, right? Um, right. And you know what? You're there. You hit the nail on the head. We gave them love, and that's all they remember. That's even when we have to make that tough choice. Um, if we have to, take them to the vet, for the very last time. Um, they don't. All they know is that they've got mom or dad there with them, and that's all they know. That's all they know is that at the very last moment in life they had their mom and dad with them, um, and it's it's a gift, right? It's a gift. It's a gift to be surrounded or be held by the one that loves you the most in life, even at the end. So it's very it's both a blessing and the curse, right? It's the price. Grief is the price that we pay uh, for loving something so deeply, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know about any of you, but and I'll say this 100%. I wouldn't change any of it. I mean, I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't say that I would never want these creatures in my life. I will never say that. Um, this was some of the best chapters of my life right here. And these guys that I have with me now, these are another chapter of my life. Um, I mean, these, if you really look at it too, like these guys, introduced me to all you wonderful people. Had it not been for them, I wouldn't meet all you wonderful people. And form a community and be able to talk to some, people. And I mean, I've been helping people for over 13 years now, with pet loss and grief. And And what a blessing that is. What a absolute, I mean, I have had, some of the most wonderful journeys with people. And I've heard stories that people probably would never tell anybody else. And I love every one of them. I don't care. I can listen to dog, cat stories or, rat stories, whoever they are. I can listen to those stories all day long because I think they're beautiful. And it's a way that people open their heart and they share, something that they probably wouldn't tell a lot of people. So it's a beautiful thing. And I love it. I love it. And I encourage people, keep talking about the ones you lost, because the more you talk about it, the more their spirits are alive, and the more you can help other people heal and feel like normal when they're grieving, because that's the most important part, right? It's just the most important part. So, but I mean, this hour is like flown by. Like we're now like at the hour 5 mark. This hour has flown by, and I hate that it's like over now. But I hope that we're gonna be. Oh wait, we have to light the candle. Damn it! See, I gotta light the candle. So before we do anything else, we're gonna light the candle in honor of the ones that we have lost. I don't care if it was today, yesterday, if it was 10 years ago, whenever it was. They're all important to us. Yes, okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I watch my mouth. I'm sorry. But I apologize. I'm sorry. I get that way sometimes. It's passion. I call it passion. So yes. So we are lighting the candle. I'm going to light the candle. There it is. All right. Oops. I'm going to light the candle here for all the ones that we have lost, and the ones that have loved us unconditionally, and just changed our lives when they came into our worlds. And how special is that? How special is that? And how wonderful is that? I hope that if you're here, I hope that you'll join us on Friday for Frenchy Friday. We'll have some fun on Frenchy Friday. If you know anybody that has lost a pet, or it doesn't matter, just tell them about it. Tell them about us, and tell them to join the community. I love everybody that stops in and says hi. You guys mean so much to me. You have no idea how much you mean to me. Yeah, and I hope everybody has a good rest of the week. But like I said, we'll be back for Frenchy Friday, and then again, if you are going through a tough time right now, I wish you nothing but peace. And I hope that I always say, if you don't have a friend, you've got tons now. Because that's what this is about. This is about friendship. It's about making people feel normal, and knowing that you have people that have been there, and we understand. So I hope everybody does have an amazing night, and I hope everybody stays safe. See you guys on Friday. Thank you all again for taking your time tonight. Again, hit the like, comment, subscribe button, tell everybody about us. Very, very much appreciate each and every person. And check out Aaron's book. Aaron's book is on on Amazon. In the Quiet. He's got a great website on Facebook as well. Go check out his Facebook page. He's got great stuff on there. And he also has a great community as well of people that are just so supportive of one another. And they share some wonderful stories on there. So please check out Aaron's Facebook site and check out his book. But we will see everybody on Friday for Frenchy Friday, and cannot wait. We'll have a good time then, and we'll then Tuesday again, and we'll keep going. But thank you all so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and a wonderful night, and enjoy the rest of this. I'm going to set myself on fire. We'll enjoy the rest of your night, and hopefully everybody can get outside for a little bit because it is nice. So, and hopefully my snails will stop procreating. If not, again, I'm going to have a snail giveaway. I'll start sending snails to people. That's probably illegal. But I hope that everybody just has a great time. So thank you all again. And thank you so much. You all mean the world to me. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you on Friday. So have a good night. See you later. Frenchy Friday. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. See y'all later. Bye.